So at this point, you know quite a bit about strings and things like concatenation, but there's one of the things that we need to pay attention to, and that's when we have situations where we want to be able to put things in strings, but for whatever reason we're using things like special characters or backslashes, or we need to be able to tell the console that we want to do certain things. And so we call these escape sequences, and C# defines a whole bunch of different ones. And you'll notice they start with this backslash character, and in some cases are just backslash and some kind of character in order to indicate the type of escape sequence that you want to use. And so a lot of times what happens is we get into a situation where maybe we want to um, put in like a file path or something, or a directory, especially when we're maybe saving a file the user has uploaded or something like that. So we need to be able to put in, like see my documents home directory files, right? And you see all of a sudden the compiler is putting those red squiggly marks underneath the backslash character, because we can't use the backslash character directly in a string like that. Essentially breaks the string. So there's two ways that we can solve this. First, we can use that escape sequence thing I just showed you. And in order to put a backslash in a string, you just actually put in the backslash character twice. And so you can see that resolves the problem. And only one backslash character is what would be printed. So we can test that by just writing the file out and then taking a look at what we get in the console window. So we see just one backslash in here. Now this one, it didn't print, so because you see there it's got like a funny character. So if we go back to our list, you'll see in our list that the form feed character \f is actually part of this list. So this is why the compiler is letting this go, even though that's not what we intended. So if we looked at that again in the console window, we can see that it just says aisles because it's actually cutting the F off, thinking that's something that we want. And so that's something you have to pay attention to. Now, another way that we can get around this is by using what we call a string literal, or a verbatim string. And so out in front of the quote mark, we put the @ sign, and then you saw that automatically cleared all of the errors that we had inside of that string. So what that @ sign, and now you can see it's complete, including our /f. So what this @ sign is telling the compiler is take everything in this string literally as I've written it. Don't try to interpret any special characters or escape sequences or anything in there. So this is often what we have to do in this situation where we might have a special character or a backslash or something we want to use. But that list of escape sequences and things that I showed you has some uses. So maybe we want to put in like a carriage return actually in the middle of our string. And so the \n is what we use for carriage return. And so that actually forces, you can see now it's on 2 lines. Or maybe we want to be able to insert in a Unicode character so that we can get a special character that we've looked up from Unicode. And again, things like if I actually want to print a quote or a single quote, I would have to have that escape sequence in there. So it's something that we definitely have to pay attention to either escape out those things by putting the backslash character in there, or by putting the @ sign out front. And if you use the @ sign, I'll show you now, what we get is a completely literal string with that \n right in there. So it will just print whatever you put in there. So you need to make sure that you understand the usage, or you're going to get unexpected output.